My stepdaughter praised her real father at graduation, but I was the one who raised her. I wiped her tears, paid her fees, and stood by her for 12 years, but on her graduation day, she acted like I didn't exist. I met her mother when her daughter, Tiana, was just 6 years old. Quiet, observant, and always clutching a worn-out teddy bear. Her biological father had left them when she was barely 3, and since then, it was just the two of them, until I came in. It wasn't easy. At first, Tiana wouldn't talk to me, barely looked me in the eye. But I was patient. I'd sit beside her while she did her homework, fix her bike when the wheels wobbled, and show up at every school event even when I was the only one clapping for her. By the time she turned 10, she called me Dad. Her mom and I never had much, but we gave her everything we could. When she got into one of the top private schools, I worked double shifts just to afford it. I missed birthdays, slept in my car between shifts, and sold my late father's watch, the only thing I had left from him, just to pay for her college applications. She never knew how much I sacrificed, and I never told her. I didn't want praise. I just wanted her to feel loved, supported, safe. And she did. Or at least I thought she did. Graduation day came, a day I had circled on every calendar, a day I imagined for years. I got there early, camera in hand, wearing the same shirt I wore when she got her acceptance letter, because I wanted to match the joy of that memory. Then they called her name. She walked across the stage in her cap and gown, proud and glowing, and when it was time to give her speech, the one the school said she earned for being the top student, I stood up, heart pounding, thinking maybe she'd mention me. Maybe just a line. She took the mic, smiled through tears, and said, "I want to thank the man who gave me life. My real father, who I finally reconnected with last year. I wouldn't be here without you. Today is a dream come true, and I want to take a moment to thank the man who made it all possible. Not with money or constant presence, but with something deeper, blood. To my real father, thank you for coming back into my life at just the right time. In just 1 year, you gave me more than I ever got growing up, a true sense of identity, pride, and belonging. You reminded me of who I really am. I didn't need saving. I just needed to know where I came from. And now I do. This degree, this future, it's for you." The audience clapped. I didn't. She didn't mention me. Not once. Not when she talked about who inspired her. Not when she spoke of late-night study sessions. Not when she listed those who believed in her when no one else did. I waited after the ceremony. She came toward me with her mother, and I smiled, waiting for her to say something, anything. But all she said was, "Oh, I didn't know you'd come." And then she walked off, with her real father. My hands trembled, but not from anger, from the kind of heartbreak that sits in your throat and won't let you breathe. I stood there, frozen, in the same spot I had cheered from during her primary school spelling bee, the same spot I used to wave at her during pickup after school. Except this time, she didn't even look back. Her mother tried to explain, to say something like, "She's just overwhelmed," or "She didn't mean it that way." But her words felt like salt in a wound I didn't even realize was still bleeding. That night, I sat in the dark with her old report cards spread on the table, the ones I kept all these years. I had written little notes on the back of each one. Grade 3, she finally got a B in math. We celebrated with ice cream. Grade 6, she was bullied this term. Wrote her a letter and left it in her lunchbox. She smiled for the first time in a week. Memories I thought we shared apparently meant nothing to her. 2 weeks passed without a word. No thank you, no text, not even a forwarded photo from the graduation I paid for. The silence screamed louder than anything else. Then came the letter, a wedding invitation. Tiana was engaged. She hadn't even told me. Her biological father's name was listed as the one giving her away. And mine, not even mentioned. I stared at the gold-foiled paper like it had slapped me across the face. After everything, after raising her like my own, I wasn't even good enough to be acknowledged in her new life. But it wasn't until I saw the wedding registry that something inside me truly broke. There it was, plain as day. To my real dad, thank you for stepping in when I needed you the most. for showing up when it truly mattered, for filling the space that was always empty, for giving me the love I didn't even know I was missing. You made me feel seen, like I finally belonged to someone. I'll carry your name and your love with me forever. That was my line. The one she used to write in cards to me every birthday. The same words she once carved into the keychain I still carried on my belt. She gave it to him. I didn't plan revenge out of hatred. I planned it out of silence, the kind that builds when you've swallowed pain for too long. The kind that doesn't explode. It calculates. I didn't burn her dress. I didn't storm the venue. No, that would have given them the satisfaction of calling me bitter. Instead, I went quiet. The kind of quiet that makes people nervous. She thought I'd just disappear. That I'd accept my erasure like I accepted every disrespect that came before. But she forgot something. Everything she had, her education, her connections, her polished resume, all came from me. Every internship, every letter of recommendation, every job interview. I was the one who made the calls, pulled the strings, paid the dues. And I still had those strings. The week of the wedding, I made one call to a colleague, the same man who had offered her a dream job at a major firm abroad. I didn't slander her. I didn't beg. I simply sent the truth. Bank statements, receipts, years of tuition in my name, medical bills, birthday gifts, evidence of everything I did for a girl who claimed I wasn't her real father. He called me back and said, "I had no idea." She told us her stepfather was just the man who paid the bills, that he was more present than loving, more obligated than involved. She said he wasn't really her dad, that the real man who gave her life, her biological father, came back when she needed him most. And he was the one who made her feel worthy, seen, and finally whole. She even submitted this powerful essay about how love isn't about who raises you, but who claims you with pride. She ended it by calling her biological father her hero, and said she wished he'd been there from the start. He rescinded the job offer. She found out the day before the wedding. She called me, not crying, not apologizing, but furious. Why would you do that to me? This was my future. And I said, calmly, exactly, your future, built on my past. On every sleepless night I stayed up to help you study, every meal I skipped so you could eat, every bill I paid with money I didn't have. My sacrifices, my love. You didn't just forget me, Tiana. You erased me. You rewrote your story like I was never even there. So I did the same. Not to hurt you, but to finally stop hurting. She called me heartless, ungrateful, and that's when I laughed. Ungrateful? That's rich coming from the girl who used my last dime to print programs for a wedding I wasn't invited to. Then I hung up, but I wasn't done. The morning of the wedding, just before the ceremony, I had one final delivery sent to the venue, a small gift box. Inside was a framed photo. Tiana at 7, asleep on my chest, with a note she wrote that night. I love you, Dad. Thank you for never leaving me. Below it, I had typed one line. You were right the first time. I never left. But you did. After the wedding, things didn't go the way she thought they would. Her dream job, gone. Her fairy tale reputation, cracked. But she still had one last card to play, her new husband's connections. What she didn't know was that the man she married wasn't as perfect as she thought. I knew everything about him. He once tried to pitch a failing app to my business circle, desperate and reckless. He owed favors to people you don't owe lightly. And I knew one of them personally. So I made a deal. I didn't need to touch him. I just pulled a few invisible strings, turned his past into his present. The deal he thought would fund his company? Cancelled. The investors he bragged about at the wedding? Blacklisted him. By their first anniversary, they were broke. But that wasn't even the real revenge. Tiana applied for a local teaching position, something modest, to rebuild. She used me as a reference without asking. She assumed I'd still have a soft spot, that no matter what happened, I'd always back her. I did respond, but not the way she expected. I wrote them a letter, not cruel, Not vengeful, just honest. Tiana was once like a daughter to me. I raised her, provided for her, protected her, and in return, she erased me. Not in silence, but in full display. Publicly, painfully. I believe in second chances, but only when people acknowledge their first betrayal. She didn't get the job. Then came the pregnancy. Her husband left 2 months in. Turns out he didn't want kids, just clout. She reached out again. This time, softer. Not angry, just tired. Dad, I don't know what to do. I don't have anyone else. For the first time in years, she called me Dad again. But I didn't reply. Instead, I sent a small box to her doorstep. No card, no words. Inside, the teddy bear she clutched the first time I met her, when she was 6. And I was just a stranger trying to be something in her life. Attached to the ear was a tag that read, "You lost more than a father. You lost a man who would have died for you." It was nearly 2 years later when I saw her again. I had moved on, not out of spite, but for survival. I had learned to pour into people who saw me, who valued me. I mentored kids from broken homes, the kind of children I once prayed Tiana would help someday. I stopped checking her social media, stopped looking at her name in my call log. I buried the grief, not like a body, but like ashes. Then one Sunday morning, I opened the community center for a mentorship class. And there she was. Thinner, tired, holding a baby on her hip. No makeup, no pride. Just a woman carrying the ruins of her choices in her eyes. She stood silently while the children rushed in past her. When the last kid was seated, she walked up to me and whispered, "This is Elijah. He just turned 1. I named him after you, your middle name." I didn't speak. I looked at the boy, wide-eyed, innocent, reaching for the lanyard around my neck. He smiled at me, just like she used to. Tiana swallowed hard and said, "I've messed up more than I can count. But I remember every sacrifice, every lunchbox note, every night you sat beside me when I had nightmares. I know I don't deserve your time, your forgiveness, or even your face. But if there's any part of your heart that still believes in who I was when I loved you right, before the lies, before the pride, then let me show you I've changed." She started showing up at the community center. Not just once, but often. Helping clean after hours, reading stories to the kids, offering quiet glances my way like she was waiting for permission to speak. I never gave it. She kept coming anyway. With Elijah, her son, always wrapped tight to her chest, watching me the same way she used to, like I was some kind of anchor. One day, she pulled me aside and said, "I was blind. I wanted something that looked like love, not the man who had been living it every day beside me. I threw you away for a man who left me in pieces. And the worst part? I didn't even say thank you before I buried you in silence." I let her speak. I let her cry. But I didn't comfort her. Not out of cruelty, but out of honesty. "You didn't just forget me," I said quietly. "You erased me. On a day I would have died to witness. And now you want me to hold the pieces after you shattered everything we ever shared." Her eyes welled, but this time, she didn't beg. I know I can't fix it. But I still want to try. Not for your forgiveness, but because I want my son to grow up knowing what real love and sacrifice looks like. Even if he can only admire it from a distance." She stood there for a moment, holding her baby, waiting for something. A nod. A word. A crack in my expression. But I gave her nothing. Because forgiveness isn't always owed. And love doesn't always get a second round. I watched her leave, her shoulders low, the baby resting against her heart. And that was the last time she came. No letters. No calls. Just a silence she finally understood wasn't anger. It was acceptance. Acceptance that some bridges, when burned, don't get rebuilt, no matter how sorry you are. She thought redemption would bring us back together. But some wounds don't need healing. They need remembering. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories.